Of those who left their villages, many came to live in Alert Bay. The island is shared, a white municipality at one end, Indian reserves at the other. While in many ways Alert Bay is similar to other fishing communities, it has also become a center from which we have begun the task of reclaiming all that was almost lost.
A lot of people have heard about the Quagyu. We're probably the most highly anthropologized group of native people in the world. But a lot of those people who have read about us think that we all died, that we've disappeared because we were the vanishing races those early white people said we were. And when you look at museum exhibits in a lot of places, it's as if we were gone. There's no reference to us still being here, still being alive. And we are.
For years, there were few potlatches. Many people forgot the dances and their meaning, but some remembered.
Enough of the old people believed that it was right to continue potlatching, and so they did, in spite of the law. And how lucky for us that there were some of them.
You thought of as a beckons, ich kan spaak om mij. Na kwam ook zoals ze wordt waarom kwaadren like die deed alles zo. Gasquaia je elas, you misschien squaia je elas zo. You mens ja kasas la en yo te je qua.
Once more, artists create traditional masks and poles, following designs that are centuries old.
And once you've done the design thing, this is the most important thing anyway. And you should be on your way with anything. A 40-foot pole or a 12-inch mask. You have to think design all the time as you're doing it. Doing it exactly as the old people did it.
Still, in many ways, Alert Bay is a modern town. Although the government has placed strict limitations on our fishing rights, most of us continue to make our living from the sea.
You can call us more like the salmon people in this area. This is all we ever lived on from time, and we still depend on the fishery and the sea. Our people have always fished where, when, and how they went it. We can no longer do that. There's a moratorium on black cod, halibut. Next thing you know, it'll be clams and everything like this. The ocean is our life. It's our whole lifeline. I think to cut off the lifeline, like the salmon, the fishing, is like taking the dirt away from the farmers. We no longer would exist. now looking at hours in fishing where we used to look at days. And I think we've got to tell them this is it. We're not going to be pushed anymore. And we can't be pushed anymore because we're right to the bottom now.
I believe what he was saying. I mean, everybody's getting...
Many political battles are being fought these days in Alert Bay.
We're going to be faced with this Canada-US.
Of all of the things that have been taken away from us,
Okay, well...
none symbolizes our loss more than the masks taken after Dan Cranmer's potlatch.
For some years, we negotiated with the National Museum of Man to have the masks returned to us. Finally, in the early 70s, the museum agreed to return its portion of the collection on the condition that we build a museum in which to house them.
And so, in 1979, construction began on the Cultural Center. Working with cedar logs, our carvers prepared the posts and beams that would later support the building. The structure itself has been designed to blend past and present. A unique aspect of the design, a traditional big house space in which to exhibit the repatriated treasures that we now call the Potlatch Collection. By the summer of 1980, the center was almost completed. This was a very special time for all of us, especially the old people who never forgot what happened to us in 1921.
Why, way hoogte. Ja, joku on Garrett Juwaisen. Sitten se nuko tsulla habakum. Mi so hek wigik siitä. Ai kiltas it watsa. No mä sieltä ja muhki haat, so uilegille so osa kolskolle usotte. Ja heillä.
The objects in the Potlatch collection have been arranged in this big house space, more or less in the order that they would appear in a potlatch. And they're not in cases. The feeling some of us had when the pieces were returned was that they'd been locked up for so long in a strange place that it seemed wrong to lock them up again.
With the Potlatch collection finally in place and only a few days remaining before the center would open, the rest of the exhibits were installed. Objects from our own basements and attics placed in the center for storage, gifts given to the center by artists and museums, and a series of photographs of our old village sites, each with its creation story. The center was to be far more than a museum. It was in fact our box of treasures, and a focus for all our efforts to strengthen the culture, language, and history that were almost lost. We named it the Umista Cultural Center.
Umista means the return of something important. In earlier days, people were sometimes taken as slaves by other groups. When those people were returned to their homes, either through payment of ransom or through a retaliatory raid, they were said to have umista. When we were looking for a name for this place, we talked to the old people, and a couple of them said, it will be as if those masks and other treasures are umista. They're coming home to us.